The next section in chapter 6 is about the special or properties of rectangles, rhombuses, and squares. Rectangles, rhombuses, and squares are all parallelograms. So everything that's true for parallelograms is also true for those. And along with everything that's true for parallelograms, for rectangles, rectangles also have one right angle, and everything that's true for parallelograms. They also have congruent diagonals, and everything that's true for parallelograms, and they are also a parallelogram. A rhombus, I'm going to draw a rough one over here. You might have referred to a rhombus as a diamond in the past. A rhombus is a parallelogram, so everything that's true for a parallelogram is also true for a rhombus. A rhombus also has 4 congruent sides. A rhombus also has perpendicular diagonals, and a rhombus also has diagonals that bisect opposite angles. So your diagonals bisect this angle, and your diagonals bisect this angle. And a square is a parallelogram with 2 things. It has 4 right angles, and it has 4 congruent sides. So a square is kind of a combination of a rectangle and a rhombus. Looking at example 1, or example A, example 1A, there we go. Since opposite sides are congruent, that tells us it's a parallelogram. And since it has the right angle, it tells us it's a rectangle. Letter B is kind of tricky. When I first looked at this, I thought, oh, the diagonals are perpendicular, so that makes it a rhombus, but they never tell us that this is a parallelogram. So since this isn't a parallelogram, we cannot say it's a rhombus. It would be possible to have a shape something like this, where the diagonals are perpendicular, and that is not a rhombus. Letter C, opposite sides are congruent, so that makes it a parallelogram. And then the 4 sides are congruent, so that also makes it a rhombus. Letter D, this has the right angle, so that is going to be a rectangle. It's 4 right angles, so that makes it a rectangle. And this will also be a parallelogram. Letter E, opposite sides are congruent, which makes it a parallelogram. So let's write down parallelogram. Along with that, we have a right angle, which makes it a rectangle. And we have 4 sides congruent, which makes it a square. Letter F, opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel, so that is a parallelogram. On to the next page, we have a rectangle at the top. And it says in rectangle, JKLM, that should be ABCD. Sorry about that. AB is 50. We're going to label that right there. And AC is 86. First of all, we need to find the length of DB, which is the diagonal. Diagonals are congruent, so that diagonal is also 86. And opposite sides are congruent. AB is 50. CD will also be 50. Example 3 in rectangle AMPC. AM is 12. MC is 10. CP is the opposite side. Opposite sides are congruent, so that's 12. And MS is half of the diagonal. The whole diagonal is 10. Then that piece is 5. Example 4, we have a rectangle. AC is 35 and SM is 29. First of all, we want to find MP. Opposite sides are congruent, so that will also be 35. To find CM is the diagonal. We know half of the diagonal is 29. This other half will also be 29. So the diagonal will be 58. And the second diagonal is the same, and that will also be 58. The next two examples are rhombuses. ML is 5, and angle KDM right here is 100 degrees. And we first of all have to find DK. Opposite sides are congruent, so that is also 5. Angle DML is right here. Those angles are not congruent. Those angles add to 180. So 180 subtract 100 makes this angle right here 80 degrees. Angle KDA is just this part right here. The whole thing is 100 degrees, and that angle is bisected. Angle KDA is 50 degrees. And angle MKD, which is right here, these angles will be congruent. So this entire angle here is 80 degrees. And then that's bisected, so that piece is 40 degrees. And the last example, we know that KL is 4. Angle MDK is x plus 3. And angle DKL is 6x minus 4. First of all, finding DK. This is a rhombus, so all 4 sides are congruent. So that side is also 4. And to find the other pieces, we first of all have to figure out x. These two together add to 180. So x plus 3 plus 6x minus 4 equals 180. X plus 6x is 7x. 3 minus 4 is a minus 1 equals 180. Add 1 to both sides. you have 7x equals 181. And then 181 divided by 7. Thinking I did something wrong there. How about 6x minus 40? That will make that a 39. And then 180 plus 39 is 219. Sorry about that. And 219 divided by 7. I still did something wrong. X plus 3. Let me stop and do that one over in a minute.